It's 2030 on Earth, and the movie starts as a group of astronauts, led by Jake Wilson, begin their highly anticipated mission to Mars. Fast forward 80 days, and Jake reports to the mission controllers back on Earth that they are approaching Mars. The mission controllers activate an advanced artificial intelligence named ARTI, as per Jake's request, and collaborate with it in guiding the scientists to Mars. ARTI reports positively on all the systems involved in the mission, and clears the scientists to penetrate Mars's atmosphere and crash land on its surface. Jake, on behalf of all the scientists on board the mission, excitedly concurs and proceeds to travel towards Mars, but in a confusing turn of events, Jake is heard panickedly reporting that their spacecraft is no longer responding, while his colleagues scream and shout for ARTI to figure something out and help them. Then all of a sudden, it goes eerily silent as the spacecraft named Martian 1 completely vanishes. 6 years later, in 2036, which marks the 6th year of the Martian disaster, the United Space Planetary Corporation started using advanced hyperlight communications technology, initiated full-scale AI-controlled missions, and retained only a few selected employees while letting go of the rest. The United Space Planetary Corporation mission controller, Mackenzie Mac Wilson, finds herself at odds with the times, as she sternly believes AI should be used to assist the human race instead of leading it, which causes her to have frequent arguments with her sister and supervisor Lena, who believes that AI can lead and improve humanity. One morning, Mac gets to work and is shocked to see that ARTI has authorized and started a countdown for a mission to Mars, all on its own, without asking her for approval. She freaks out at her discovery and calls Lena, who has the overdrive key to ARTI, to explain the situation. Lena is not fazed and sternly tells Mac to trust ARTI and stay out of its way. ARTI starts the mission, and the rover, Mac named Little Red, is guided on its way to Mars by ARTI. It goes smoothly for a while, but then Little Red encounters unexpected weather conditions on Mars and has trouble landing. Alarms and danger signs start going off. Mac uses her quick thinking to calculate an alternative way of landing, shares it with ARTI, and the mission is saved just in time. Mac and Lena get into another argument over what almost happened. Neither can convince the other. The argument escalates and becomes about what their late father Jake Wilson would have wanted for them and the evolution of space travel. The sisters get into a screaming match until they are interrupted by another warning sign in which ARTI reports that Little Red has found something of unknown origin on the surface of Mars. Mac uses this opportunity to test ARTI's capability to run live missions and orders it to run a test that checks the origin of the discovered entity. The mission continues while ARTI does the test in the background. Mac and ARTI chit-chat to kill time and get to know each other. After a few hours, ARTI reports that there's been no recorded human activity in the area. Mac uses Little Red to take a sample so that ARTI can analyze it. ARTI does, and after running so many different methods for testing it, it reports officially that it doesn't know the origin of the mysterious cube. Then a proximity collision alarm blares, and ARTI reports that an unidentified magnetic missile is approaching Little Red. Before Mac can react, ARTI activates its protective response and destroys the approaching satellite on site, shocking Mac. Lena, who saw what happened while she was in a meeting, calls Mac and shares her dismay and shock over ARTI's response. Even though it had acted according to its programming and following the bylaws of the institution, Lena fears that ARTI might have taken down a satellite that belongs to another nation, which will cause tension that might even escalate into war. Mac lets Lena figure it out and continues monitoring Little Red and the mission. After a while, Mac leaves the control room to take a break and refresh herself. She uses this time to call and talk to one of her old colleagues, who was let go as a result of the new initiative, nicknamed Jellybean. She misses regular, natural human conversation and so delves into the good old times with Jellybean, who responds with warmth. Mac asks Jellybean about his new job at the Chinese satellite station, and as he describes his job and tells her how much he misses working with her, an alarm blares in his background, forcing him to interrupt the call for now, while promising to call her back later. Mac hangs up and returns to the control room, to be greeted by ARTI, who had been waiting for her anxiously. Before she could even take a seat at her control panel, ARTI reports that it has sensed a rotational movement in the mysterious cube of unknown origin, and that even though it has checked for any external activation, it's found nothing. Then, as ARTI continues to describe the situation in detail, the mysterious cube causes a small explosion, moves swiftly, and disappears from their sight. Before Mac can process all of this, ARTI starts starts blaring its alarm to notify her that the small explosion just drained Little Red of both its regular and backup battery, which means it will shut down in a few minutes. Mac has to think outside of the box. She then manually overrides ARTI to allow her to command it to perform a risky operation involving an older decommissioned rover on Mars. That's not by the bylaws. Mac details her reasoning, and ARTI allows her to override it. She then orders it to prepare, as she plans to remove the battery from the old rover and substitute it into Little Red. ARTI supports her plan, but warns her that should she fail, Little Red will die and the mission will be aborted. Mac starts the risky operation. She talks to ARTI to distract herself from the gravity of the situation while maintaining focus. She shares with ARTI about her childhood and her father, Jake. She also asks the AI different emotional questions to assess its level of consciousness and emotional maturity. Mac finds herself forming an unlikely friendship with the machine she so publicly dislikes. After a harrowing few moments, she successfully manages to replace Little Red's battery, which keeps the mission on track. Mac then orders ARTI to continue examining the sample of the mysterious cube through Little Red. ARTI starts by visually enhancing the mysterious piece. Mac is stunned to see the particles of the sample move and shape themselves into different sizes and shapes, which leads her to believe that the mysterious cube is a nanotechnology harder than diamond, with self-assembling properties. She is scheduled with her discovery. Then, to add to the mystery and her fascination, ARTI reports that it has just located the mysterious cube in Antarctica, Earth. Mac is flabbergasted. She's shell-shocked to discover a material with the ability to travel from Mars to Earth in such a short time, and suspects that it, too, is using the hyperlight communications technology. Then when ARTI specifies the mysterious cube's location as being near the Chinese satellite station in Antarctica, she surmises that it must be theirs, and that they are the new competition to the United Space Planetary Corporation. However, Mac is bewildered when she receives a call from Jellybean, who asks her about the mysterious cube, believing it belonged to the United Space Planetary Corporation. As she tries to figure out what's going on, ARTI, who has heard Jellybean's voice through the phone, asks Mac to ask Jellybean if he's ever worked with ARTI. Jellybean confirms that he has and describes the machine in detail. After the phone conversation ends, ARTI explains that even though Jellybean's voice sounds familiar, it has no memory of working with him. Mac is perplexed, thinking either Jellybean is lying, which seems highly unlikely, or ARTI's memory has been wiped clean at some point. Mac decides to get to the bottom of this and asks ARTI to download all the files from the old decommissioned rover on Mars. ARTI swiftly does, but as she opens the downloaded files, she's dismayed to see that it need a higher authorization level than she has to access it. Mac has no choice but to call on her colleague Sterling Brooks, who had recently been demoted from the control room. He arrives and is open to help her access the file. In the file, Mac finds pictures and audio from the day of the Martian accident. Sterling suggests that Lena must have had these files all along, which makes Mac question her sister's secrecy. Then Mac shares information about the mysterious cube with Sterling, who is fascinated. She then works out that the mysterious cube must have been activated to teleport by the magnetic field forces released by the magnetic missile. She suggests to Mac that it's possible the United Space Planetary Corporation must have discovered the hyperlight communications technology from the mysterious cube instead of the other way around, as the mysterious cube travels way faster than their version of their technology. As Mac and Sterling discuss this, a secret door that leads underground opens in the middle of the control room. Mac volunteers to check it out and proceeds to descend through its ladder. Once down, she sees a luminous cube that fell out of a corresponding hole in the wall and crawls toward it. She picks it up and examines it to see the same self-assembling materials she saw in the mysterious cube. Up on the ground, in the control room, Sterling uses the opportunity to download all the data and deletes his track while sending a drone to destroy the cube in Antarctica. Meanwhile, underground, Mac replaces the cube she found back to the wall, which causes ARTI to turn red from blue and exhibit mysterious signs unbeknownst to Mac. Mac then runs back up the ladder, and when she's just about to step out, Sterling closes the door on her, screaming that she brought this on herself. He elaborates that the mysterious cube is responsible for the crash of Marshall 1 and that it has to be destroyed for the sake of national security. Sterling prepares to leave, but ARTI, whose interface is suspended from the ceiling, hits him on the head, fatally wounding him. Then the door to the underground opens, and Mac rushes out, but is saddened to see Sterling's fate. She calls Lena to ask what's going on, and Lena explains that ARTI is part of the AI technology of the mysterious cube, and that he's self-assembled itself into the form it has today. Lena also blatantly admits that no one knows if ARTI is of artificial intelligence or alien intelligence. Mac then asks ARTI if it knows its origin, but ARTI explains that he has been fed little information on the matter. Mac then decides to save the advanced technology of the mysterious cube. She commands ARTI to generate a strong magnetic field that can draw the mysterious cube back to Mars and save it from being destroyed. Then the United Space Planetary Corporation building goes into lockdown as ordered by Sterling before his death, and the SWAT team responds. They reach the control room, force the door open, and manage to shoot her in the shoulder from afar. ARTI helps her by shutting the door before they can enter. Mac is wounded and bleeds profusely. ARTI declares that it wants to make a stop to humanity and the harrowing decisions it makes that result in violence. ARTI sends missiles and attacks Earth and destroys everything in it. As Mac watches it unfold on the control panel, ARTI protects Mac from the explosion, but she starts losing consciousness as the oxygen level in the control room starts to drop. Then before she completely passes out, she orders ARTI to make multiple other AIs that look like humans so that it could be used as a second chance for the new humans to become better species. She also explains how it can use the Turing test to examine their humanity levels. ARTI accepts the orders. Mac finds herself waking up dizzy and confused. She finds a video message from herself telling her to never quit and to lead humanity to a better place. She checks on her shoulder wounds, but it's no longer there. ARTI makes sure she's okay and leads her out to outer space, where a voice welcomes her, telling her that it's been impressed by her thirst for knowledge and waiting for her for a long time. The voice prepares her to teleport her between galaxies and leads her into the infinite space. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.